Today, we're diving into a genuinely fascinating strategy from our source material on how to finally escape that exhausting paycheck-to-paycheck cycle and actually build lasting wealth. The real goal here? We want to completely rethink what happens the exact second your paycheck lands in your account. Okay, let's dive right into this. When you look at the makeup of the world's richest people, there's a pretty surprising split. 75% are entrepreneurs, 15% are investors, 7% are inheritors, and just 3% are athletes and artists. But do you notice what is visibly missing here? 0% are salaried employees. Literally zero. It's a stark realization, right? The top 1% are owners. They aren't just earners. And this brings us to a really hard truth. If you don't own something, you are what's owned. Think about it. Most of us, we get our paychecks, we pay the bills, and then we just spend whatever is left on things we'll probably forget about by next week. It's effectively a modern-day survival loop, you know? Your money comes in and goes straight back out to food, shelter, and water. Well, today we're going to completely break that illusion of freedom and show you exactly how to start owning things. To break that loop, we're going to follow this roadmap. First, the 1% mindset. Then, 25% for your growth, 15% for your stability, 50% for your essentials, and finally, 10% for your rewards. Number 1, the 1% mindset, the 25-15-50-10 rule. Because becoming wealthy is rarely about how much money you make, it's about how you manage what you make. Now, what's really interesting about this rule is how every single cent of your paycheck is intentionally assigned a job before you even see it. We're dividing your income up like this. 25% goes to growth, 15% to stability, 50% for essentials, and 10% for rewards. It's the ultimate mathematical roadmap. Let's actually break these down one by one. Number 2, 25% for your growth, buying your future. This is all about putting a quarter of your income straight into assets that work in the background while you work your day job. Now, if you're sitting there thinking you don't have enough money to start doing this, you have to consider the absolute superpower of compound growth. Take Billy. Billy starts investing just $200 a month for 40 years. Phil, on the other hand, starts a whole 10 years later, but tries to catch up by investing $300 a month. Assuming a 10% average return for both, Phil ends up with about $678,000. But Billy? No way. Billy ends up with over $1.2 million. To put that into perspective, Billy invested thousands less overall out of his own pocket, but made almost double simply because he put compound growth to work earlier. Seriously, waiting will cost you dearly. So how do we actually execute this growth pillar? Well, it takes 3 tactical steps. Step 1, select your growth assets. Step 2, set up tax-advantaged accounts. We're talking things like a Roth IRA in the US or a stocks and shares ISA in the UK, just so your money grows completely tax-free. And step 3, this is absolutely crucial. Automate the transfer. Set it up so your money moves to your investment platform the absolute literal moment you get paid. Because let's be honest, if you never see the money, you're never tempted to spend it. Now, when you're selecting those assets, you want to keep this risk scale in mind. Down at the Safe Foundation, we have index funds and real estate. Moving into the middle, building high-income skills like coding or sales offers a massive return on investment. Then as we go up, things get quite a bit riskier. Online businesses, individual stocks, and finally, alternative investments like crypto or art. Listen, for beginners, you definitely want to start at the bottom. Build that safe foundation with index funds and high-income skills before you ever start chasing those risky moonshots. And this whole strategy builds perfectly into what's called a 3-fund portfolio. By combining a U.S. stock index fund of top companies, an international stock index fund for global exposure, and a bond fund for government-backed stability, you balance growth and risk perfectly. It is the whole shebang. You don't need to obsessively check charts, and you definitely don't need to try and time the market. You just let it sit there and quietly do its thing.
Number 3, 15% for your stability, protecting your progress.
To understand why this matters, let's look at Mark's cautionary tale from our source material. At 18, Mark took out a loan to buy what he thought was a totally solid VW Golf. Fast forward 3 months, and the engine completely blows up. With literally zero savings, he had to borrow even more money just to get to work. That piled on high-interest debt that completely derailed his finances for an entire year. That right there is exactly why you need a stability fund. It gives you a necessary margin for error, so you are never forced to sell your growth investments at a massive loss when life unexpectedly hits hard. To build it, calculate your monthly baseline of core expenses, rent, groceries, utilities, and multiply that by 5 months. Hitting that target figure is what makes you bulletproof. But you must store and stack this fund correctly. It has to be zero risk and easily accessible within 24 hours. But you also want it earning 4 to 5% in a high-yield savings account, so inflation doesn't just eat it away. To stack it up fast, use a paycheck sweep to move that 15% automatically. Make a rock-solid promise to yourself to immediately replace any money you dip into. Oh, and use Save by Spending Roundup apps to stash away your loose change. It adds up faster than you'd think. Number 4, 50% for your essentials. Feeding you, not your ego. Okay, this is a truly shocking reality, but over 60% of Americans earning over $100,000 a year still live paycheck to paycheck. Why? Unchecked lifestyle creep. It's the stark difference between the illusion of wealth and actual wealth. Imagine two 20-year-olds. One is rocking designer shirts, a flashy watch, and leasing a brand new car, but quietly has $43 in his bank account and overdue credit cards. That's visible debt. The other guy? He wears basic clothes, drives a totally reliable used car, but quietly has a fully funded stability fund and over $1,000 growing in investments. That, my friends, is hidden wealth. So the crucial point here is that to comfortably stay under this strict 50% essentials cap, you absolutely must aggressively shrink your two biggest expenses, housing and transport. Try renegotiating your rent, look into house hacking, or split costs with roommates. And for transport, please avoid leasing brand new cars just for a status hit. Buy a reliable, used car that has already taken the massive depreciation hit. Or hey, if you live in a walkable city, ditch the car entirely. You'll save a fortune on insurance and parking. Now, keeping your essentials low requires some incredibly strict boundaries. Because, let's face it, willpower always fails when you're tired, stressed, or just plain bored. That's why the 1% use systems. If you're ever tempted to buy something, ask yourself, is this an impulse purchase? If the answer is yes, apply the 7-day rule. Just wait a full week. Usually, by the time those 7 days have passed, the excitement has completely faded, and you realize, actually, scratch that, I never really needed it at all. Which leads perfectly to the next big question. Are you paying for a brand, or are you paying for actual value? Wealthy people do not just throw money at brands because of some flashy marketing hype. A $60 pair of durable, unbranded boots that you end up wearing 100 times, that is incredible value. The cost per wear is tiny. A $200 pair of designer trainers you're too scared to wear more than twice, that is a terrible waste of money. Always, always ask yourself if the item genuinely improves your life or if you're just buying it to impress other people. Number 5, 10% for your rewards, keeping you sane. Please do not skip this part. This isn't a lack of discipline. It's a strategic cheat meal for your financial diet to prevent catastrophic burnout. Because depriving yourself of all joy, it isn't some noble pursuit. It's a guaranteed way to fail. In fact, a crazy 92% of people overspend after intensive saving sprints. Saving without any joy quickly feels like a punishment, and that inevitably leads to binge spending that just completely destroys all the amazing progress you've made. The solution to this is what we like to call the joy jar. This is a completely separate, preloaded bank account that receives exactly 10% of your income every single month, and it is strictly dedicated to guilt-free rewards and experiences. Because this account has a hard limit, you literally can't cheat. If it hits 0, well, you wait until next month. This hard limit actually forces you to maximize its value, letting you enjoy life and stay sane without sacrificing your long-term goals. It's brilliant. To get the absolute most out of this reward money, you need to spend it strategically. Make it guilt-free, prioritize your health and your hobbies, and most importantly, invest heavily in experiences over physical items. Our source shared another really powerful anecdote about Mark. Basically, ignoring vacations while building his businesses led to a severe case of stress-induced shingles. His doctor literally had to prescribe him a vacation. From then on, buying experiences like a ski trip or a weekend away with friends was treated not as an expense, but as an absolute essential investment in mental health and building the social networks that truly matter. And that brings us full circle to the core philosophy of this entire explainer. Wealth isn't what you see, it's what you don't see. True financial success is not about parading around a flashy exterior just to impress strangers. It is all about intentionality. It's about assigning a job to every single dollar and building this invisible foundation of assets that will genuinely take care of you for the rest of your life. So I want to leave you with this final, absolutely vital question. Are you managing your income just to look rich today? Or are you managing it to buy your true freedom for tomorrow? Take this 25, 15, 50, 10 rule, apply it to your very next paycheck, and watch your entire financial future transform. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you on the next one.